Hi, loves. Welcome to another episode of Origin Story with ya girls, Jess and Hannah, Hannah and Jess. Uh, this is coming. So this is an exciting episode because it's coming in what's kind of just turned out to be, it feels like a trilogy of these different feminine archetypes. We had the maiden archetype that we explored more deeply in the last episode. Today we're going to be covering the mother. It's feeling like we'll see what happens in this episode, but it's feeling like we're going to be moving into the crone for the next one too. So we're not 100% on that because we're always tuning into the energies, but it's feeling like that's what is coming. And it's really a beautiful series to be doing, especially as women, because this is really truly like these are the ancient triadic archetypes for the feminine. And what does that mean to like really embody that in this time, in this ancient future, cataclysmic, magical, strange, bizarre time? And we're recording this a few weeks before it actually gets posted. So we've just completed the eclipse season in 2025 here, or first eclipse season, I should say. It's the end of March right now, and both Jess and I, being located in Bali, we've also gone through the Balinese New Year of Nyepi this weekend with the new moon in Aries to start the new year. It's 1947, according to the Balinese calendar. So, like it's just are we in the past? Are we in the future? What does that mean? There's a lot of chaos and turmoil in the world, but I have to say, it's been feeling so magical. And like, how can we as women, for ourselves, and how are we like holding ourselves? This is the mother, this is the mother. How do we hold ourselves through it all? Not knowing where we are, knowing where we've come from, but like not knowing exactly where we are or where we're going. And this is a really, really, really important archetype for all women, regardless of if you have physical children, if you want physical children, if you don't want physical children, it doesn't really matter. We get to expand the scope and definition of what mother means. And it's so vital. I think it's so vital. And so, yeah, I guess for me, just to get this all started, Jess, what I'm curious about is like, how are you relating with this archetype for yourself right now? How are you mothering yourself? How are you relating with mother? Maybe you want to talk about how you used to relate to it or not. I don't know, but like, just do what you will with it because it really is the entry point for this origin story on the mother.
Beautiful. Thank you, love. I love the invitation. Um, yeah, I think what's kind of coming through was I think I mentioned this in the last episode, I'm pretty sure, when we were talking about the maiden archetype or the sort of princess archetype. But the experience of not fully completing the maiden archetype or the princess archetype and only having played in like the wounded version or the shadow aspect or the not complete process of finding the empowerment and honoring in it, looking back, that for me set a really strong foundation for then only really being able to access like the shadow aspects of the mother archetype or the wounded aspects of the mother archetype, which can lean more on like overbearing and like over controlling and overly worried about things that are other people's responsibility, taking on like shoulder. There's two sides of it, right? The overbearing and over controlling and all of that with others or with whatever we're engaging with, or the other side of like the more internal personal aspects of like not knowing how to care for ourselves, overtaking of responsibility, over shouldering of burdens and things like that. So I definitely saw those play out if we're thinking about how we we go through the phases, but we're kind of playing in embodying all three at the same time to some degree. And I think I also mentioned the transition and the movement towards now knowing that in work and business, the need to, in this next phase, not be embodying and playing in all of these like shadow aspects, but starting to embody and play in like the empowered mother archetype. And particularly, like I feel that today, particularly as things have shifted dramatically in the last couple of weeks, and I'm implementing things like planning and foresight and discipline and devotion and nurturing my creations and tending over the long haul rather than the next immediate thing. So it's definitely, that's the way I suppose it's feeling the most alive for me at the moment. And in amongst all of this kind of planning, this structuring, like I feel like the mother has to be the one that's like, I'm a little bit disciplined with myself, the one who's like, mom's always going to be the one that's like, don't leave dirty dishes in the sink overnight. You know, I'm kind of at that place where I'm like, I've done the future me is going to love this thing before, but this really feels like mothering myself. Like, come on, why would you do this later when you could do this now? You know, it's going to take 2 minutes to get up and start doing something, and you'll get into it. So there's these little more responsible feeling, more empowered feeling, traits and aspects, I think, very, very naturally coming online, which feels beautiful. It feels like a maturation and a growing and an expanding to be able to create more, because there's a lot more kind of like self-care doesn't feel like pampering. It feels like responsibility. It feels like making the space so that I can go and play, making the space so that I can enjoy myself. It's like the difference between I'm going to have a bubble bath versus I'm going to do this thing for my health in the long run. It's like those deeper, more sustained, more long-term vision kind of traits, aspects, things to put in place to allow room for growth. I think that's how I'm kind of relating to it, feeling it at the moment.
I love that. I think that's beautiful. And it feels very like aligned on so many levels with what's even happening more collectively. I mean, yes, we're in Bali, which is the southern hemisphere. So technically we're entering into like autumn, the autumnal equinox. However, you being a being from England and having ancestry there and everything, your body is attuned biologically to the northern hemisphere still, which is spring. And what do we do in spring? We spring clean, right? So like there's a part of it that when we clean things out and clear things out for ourselves like that, creating the space for creation to exist, like that is another form of mothering, right? You're cleaning up your house, getting your things in order so that more inspiration can flow. So that feels, and yeah, and it's like the next iteration on this spiral, right? It's because it's always a spiral. It's never like a linear thing, especially with the feminine. And now that you've spoken to, addressing the more fulfilled light and lighter version of the princess or the maiden archetype. Of course, you're coming into a more, holistic approach with the mother too, where it's not coming from like the let me take care of the babe from kind of a I didn't get what I needed before to now like, okay, you know how to take care of yourself, and I'm gonna it's not tough love, but it is just a little bit more structured mothering than before. They're just like languishing and being like, the babe in the arms. It's like, okay, go learn how to toddle. and you'll fall and you'll be fine and pick yourself up and do it again. And, it's kind of like this. That's what I'm hearing, at least. I don't know if that rings true, but it does feel like that's where you're at, which is amazing and beautiful.
Yeah, completely. It's feeling good. It definitely feels more like I think it's interesting because we always imagine nurture to, at least I always imagine nurture to feel kind of like very, very soft kind of energy. And it's like there's still a softness there, but nurturing is taking on, I think, a new meaning where it's
Mm.
like, I need to raise myself, like raise myself from being a child into being, well, really an adult at this point. Um, we're not in teenage rebellion phase. We're in knuckle down and do some stuff phase. So it's like the nurturing feels more like you were saying, it's not tough love, but there's a gentle firmness to it because that mother archetype is the one who can see longer into the future, right? Like little kids are dealing in like hours or minutes or a day or a week. The mother's like, no, like these are the incremental things that will build up over time so that you can see where you're going in the long term. It's not just immediate. So there's a little bit more of, I think I find discipline to be quite a hard word. Harsh word, I think is what I'm looking for. It's because I think this gets misunderstood quite a lot, right? It's like it sounds harsh, it sounds very authoritarian, sounds very like pushy and pokey and like force. But like my word for this year is the disciple. That's what came through. And I was like, oh, like this makes sense. Like discipling is the the part of this, which is like, how do I follow? How do I learn? How do I structure? How do I show up? How do I stay in devotion to the bigger picture, not just immediate short-term things? So it's like it's not this harsh forcing of routine just because that's what's expected and that's what has to be done. It's like this very beautiful yeah, like discipling, like devoting energy day in and day out. So that's feeling, yeah.
Well, I mean, it feels so beautiful. And I love that connection between discipline, but also the disciple, and then also kind of renegotiating the definition of that too, because what comes through for me as you're speaking, and because it was interesting, you said the word discipline, and that's what was coming through. I was like, oh, you're in devotion, not discipline. And then you said discipline, but it's like the marriage of both, right? The marriage of both, like, because to me, discipline feels very masculine, like in terms of how we generally experience that word. I would say on a day-to-day basis, to be disciplined, you must do this. And like it's that action. If you're not watching me on the screen, I've got like one hand chopping into the center of the next, like chop, drop, disciple. Like you must be disciplined. You must take your vitamins. You must go to the gym. You must do like this amount of work for these amount of hours and biohack and blah, blah, blah. Like it's that. That's what it feels like whenever I hear the word discipline. But when you come at it from that softer lens of like, oh, I'm a disciple. I'm a disciple in service of something. Then you add in the more feminine version of discipline, which is the mother, which is devotion. And devotion isn't necessarily, it is softer, but it's still firm. And I think that's the piece that's important because devotion, you show up every day in devotion. Like you do the rituals, right? You do the things to be of service in devotion. It's fierce, protective, nurturing love every day, knowing that it's applied to the bigger picture. And so that's just what I'm hearing is there's a soul union happening for you in this disciple meeting devotion in this more heroes gamos kind of a way. Because to me, the devotion is the mother, and that's do your dishes, Jess. Do your work for the next 3 hours. Like get yourself organized, Jess. You've got this, you know. And I think
Mm,
that that's a really beautiful place to be because I can just hear how much energy is behind all of that for you. And
mm,
it's yeah, and it's not something that people dig into as much with the mother because when people feel into the mother, like when it's almost always coming from either very soft, nurturing, you've got the babe kind of energy, or it's coming from like Kali-esque, the mother. The mother will show you the power of her true form if you don't pay attention. But then there's like, somewhere in the middle, a secret third option, which is like the firm, loving, devoted mother, right? It's hard to raise. I don't have any physical children right now. I don't know that I will in this lifetime or not. I'm a soft no for now, which means I'm available for it if I find the right beloved to be in partnership with and we decide to go that route. Or, God just decides for us. And I'm like, well, that's what's happening. But that's another story. But like I say that because, I don't have physical children in this lifetime, but I have so many friends and I have my own mother, and I was raised with beautiful, strong women who are mothers and growing up. And it's hard to raise children. It can be, it's a thankless, merciless, relentless job to be a mother. And, it requires devotion. Otherwise, it just won't happen. The children can raise themselves, but is that in the child's best interest? Like it's like you've got this thing to nurture. And so, yeah, the mother is devoted, like fully committed to this mission, knowing the bigger picture, right? The child is screaming right now, and I have a headache, and I have bills to pay, and I've got to do the dishes, and my husband's, like asking me to do X, Y, and Z, and blah, blah, blah. And I can't, and it's all too much, but in this moment is too much. And I can see the bigger picture, you know? And so that's what it's just like, it's beautiful to hear that perspective and how you're receiving the mother for yourself in this moment, because that too is mother. And that's a version that I don't feel that everybody always gets to. They kind of get stuck, at least in the quote unquote spiritual world, between like, I need to take care of my inner child and like feel like the babe being held, or she's going to kick my ass because, I didn't come home during curfew when she told me to, and I'm being a very bad child and I'm being very naughty, whatever it is. And it's like, no, there's somewhere else to go. We can explore all the different definitions of what that means. Yeah. No, it's beautiful, babe.
mm. How about you? How are you relating to this at the moment?
Um, that's a good question. I'm relating to it in a I would say like a much more cosmic kind of a space.
Mm,
I'm I've done the inner child mother nurturing thing. I've done the getting my ass kicked by mother. I've done that. I've worked through my own things with my own personal mother and like different women in my life that have been mother figures. I have learned how to mother myself through so much. I've learned, like, similar to what you spoke to, self-care is not necessarily bubble bath. Sometimes it is, but usually self-care is like, get your butt to bed now because you know that you're going to feel better if you sleep. And like, I didn't do that last night, so I'm a little tired because I was like being a very naughty teenager. And I was like, I'm going to stay up late and binge watch this new show on Netflix, which is really fun, but I'm like tired, right? So that I can play with all of that a little bit. But for me right now, the mother is feeling in some ways, it's not the opposite of yours, but in a way it kind of is because I'm in a space of like fully relinquishing some of the more disciplined actions of like getting things done in this very like in this very like human way. And I'm allowing myself to feel like I'm giving birth to something I don't know yet. And I don't know how to make that make sense. So let me try to break that down. Am I doing things to take care of myself? Yes. I'm doing the dishes in the sink. I'm taking care of myself in general, trying to get to bed on time, not always being successful, whatever. Feeding myself, taking the baths, whatever. Doing the things. I am in devotion with that. And I'm in the process of creating something that has no real timeline and feels very mystical and very huge. It actually feels like Christic in nature, what it is that I'm birthing through and how big it feels in my energy field and body. And it's almost like I'm about to give birth to creatively is like an aspect of mother for the world. What do I mean by that? I'm writing a book and I finished draft one of this book about a week and a half ago. And the book is almost 600 pages long. It's a memoir of my life from the last 7 years of my spiritual awakening. And I've been writing this book on and off for about 4 years. I started it, realized I needed to live it more, put it on the back burner, and more or less completed it last year, with the exception of like a couple chapters, which I finished a couple weeks ago. And I have known for many, many years that I'm meant to be a writer. I'm meant to give birth to like books. I have so many book ideas. It's kind of like actually overwhelming, but we're focusing on this one first. And it's become very clear to me that this has to be the first book. And as I'm editing draft one into draft two, it's becoming clear. I'm like, I'm not doing it to be helpful. I'm doing it because I know I'm being called forward into doing it. But that by birthing this creation into being, by opening basically like my chest cavity for everyone to see so raw and so vulnerably and so honestly and all of the things, it's so raw. I know that it's going to support the nourishing and nurturing and encouragement in a mothering kind of capacity for anybody who picks it up and reads it once it's published. And I don't say that from an egoic space. I like have really actually avoided finishing this book. I started picking up every other book possible that I've tried to write over the past 5 years, and I have several. And I'm like, not the memoir, this one, not the memoir, this one. And then I came back and I'm like, oh, fuck it, it's got to be the memoir. That has to be the first book. And it's like, the mother came in with devotion and was like, girl, you know that this is it, and I've got you, and I will hold you through it all when it feels unbearable because you are feeling so raw and so tender and so vulnerable to share so much. But like, I've known for a while it's this book. And it's feeling like Cosmic Mother is with me as I'm writing it and initiating me into more of this Cosmic Mother archetype with what it is I'm here to give birth to. And I've felt that Mother Mary energy with me specifically throughout the duration of the like real like crux of writing this book. And she's with me, like I feel her in my presence right now. Like I feel the wings of Isis behind me. Like I'm feeling so in that. So it's not as formed that mother. There is a gentle kick in the ass that I am sort of feeling where she's just like, we're standing at the ledge and you have wings, and I'm just gonna push you if you don't decide to fly yourself because you're gonna be fine. But like, it's that kind of energy where she's like, are you going to do the thing or are you going to make me have you do the thing? And, and that feels very mythic and very challenging to even give words to because I'm still forming the words. So if I hope that that made sense because honestly it's something I'm still processing for myself in terms of how I'm experiencing God essence and mother energy so vastly. It's kind of ineffable.
Mm, beautiful. What was kind of coming there though was like in the avoidance of actually writing the memoir, there was a shift at a certain point where you were like, no, this has to happen. And then you started showing up for it every day. And actually like it was like, now I'm going to take the responsibility for this. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to not just hold it. And now and again, when I feel like it, look at it for 5 minutes. But there
I
was
did
like
that
a
thing.
devoted and dedicated literal discipline of showing up daily for that.
Mhm.
Talk more about that. How did that
Well,
feel?
well, so I guess it was much more resigned this last time because it actually only took me about 3 days to finish. Once I decided to write the last like chapter, it only took me like 3 days to do because when I do get focused on something, I can complete it. I can complete the mission. I think what's more interesting to speak to is actually the bulk of the writing that occurred last summer when I was in the UK
Mm,
because
yeah.
that was a huge kick in the ass in and that was more mothering from that like I'm going to like you will know the right decision to make or I will make it for you kind of an answer. Um, where I had a circumstance where I continued to externalize like validation and making choices specifically with a man, because men have always been my drug of choice. Romance and love has always been my drug of choice, where I've just like been like, oh, I want a partner. I'll just pay attention to this man here and not pay attention to my dharma or my path, but let me just pour all of my energy into this. And that fell apart really fast again. They just started happening faster. So like that happened and it became very clear. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Like you knew that that wasn't going to be a thing and you took the bait again. Focus, focus, focus. And as soon as I decided to focus and I made a vow to choose myself, I made a vow to choose my dharma and like this writing piece that I knew wanted to come through. I showed up every day and I wrote every day from about 8 a.m. till 12 p.m. with I took my turned my phone off. I didn't talk to anyone. Like I was not available. I also would write in the evenings as well, like up until about midnight from about again 8 to 12 I was writing in the evenings. I created a schedule. I actually like made it possible because it started to feel really impossible. I'm like, I'm writing this book and I'm like, when am I going to finish this book? When is this book done? And I'm like, well, if I write 7 to 10 pages a day, I can finish it by X day. And I was like, oh, and I was writing like minimum 7 pages a day. I could get through it. And some days I was writing three, and some days I was writing 15, and it was always balancing itself out. So when I was able to break it down, once I'd made the choice, I'd kind of had the choice made for me, but then I also chose the choice at the same time. Like then it got a lot easier because then it made it possible. So I did show up in discipline. I did show up in devotion. And that helped tremendously. And then I got off track a lot. Not a lot, but I got off track for a few months because I was having a very hard time with a lot of other things that needed to be processed and to come through. It's funny because what I noticed in this eclipse season, this spring, is that last eclipse in the fall, that's when I stopped writing. It was about 6 months I needed to take a break. And it was like that last eclipse season destroyed me. Like I was a mess and it took me a while to get back on the horse. And like now in this next eclipse season, I was like, yeah, we're just going to finish it. It's not going to be a big thing. You're just going to get it done. And it was so easy. It really was. I sat down, I turned my phone off for 3 days and it just got done. And then I like gave myself a week to finish it and I only needed 3 days. And so there was a part of me that was really anxious to actually finish it because then I was like, oh shit, I finished it early. Oh shit. Now what? Now what? Now what did I do? Oh, I finished it. Oh shit. Like it was a whole thing of that. And I needed to sit with that and like give myself time to celebrate before I dove into editing it. But and then I printed it, and I saw my words in print. Then it's like the material form, the matter, the mother, like that in form. So that also was like a big deal because I'm like, oh wow, I am actually doing the thing. It's not just talking about it anymore. It's not a concept. It's like not just on my computer, it's in my hands. I can touch it, right? And that's part of the mother too, because the mother rules the material plane, the matter. And that's a fascinating place to be in this crux again of like disciple and devotion, masculine and feminine, father and mother coming into harmony together to like create something brand new, you know. And that's where I'm at in my process and where I know you are in your process too. It's like we're ready to create the thing. It's happening. It's being created. It's very powerful.
It's super powerful. I love what you were speaking to at the end because it was literally what was coming through there as you were speaking as well. As like there is a poignant and potent energy shift that I can feel. Like the way I'm living this the most deeply right now is in my business. But the shift that I can feel is that it's no longer within me. It's not like I'm pregnant with the possibility. It's like the shift that I could feel. And people talk about this a lot in reference to business, but it's like separating your energy from the business. But when you have to be embodied in the work that you're doing and you have to go through this process, the embodiment process, like I don't know that you can manufacture that separation. It's kind of like being like, oh, just give birth to your baby prematurely. Well, if that happens, we deal with it. But like preferably the body, the physical body was designed to, hold the pregnancy for 9 months in order that the body is prepared and the baby is prepared and ideally it grows to full term, right? So there's this shift that's kind of occurred that I've noticed like super deeply where I'm like, oh, everything I've been percolating and prepping for a long time has now it's out of my body, it's out of my system. So the way that feels in my business is that I'm now showing up for a job and for work like it's as if I was working for somebody else. I'm working for myself, but like it feels that way. It feels separate to me and to my life, which is not something I tried to coerce or make happen or force to happen or manufacture or engineer in any way, shape, or form. I've tried to manufacture that before. It hasn't worked, right? So it's like the innate gestation period and the innate like embodiment period that was required. But now it gets to feel separate. So now I get to raise it and build it. And I was thinking exactly the same for you. It's like, there's the book, it's on the computer, it's being written, it's being created and everything else. Then having that hard copy and now being like, okay, now this is out of my body and it is a creation, a thing that is real in the world, in the physical, where now the tending and the raising and the nurturing and the helping it to grow up and
Well,
find
I
its
mean,
life purpose
yes. I mean,
starts to come in.
but that's the thing, right? And I love, and I, as you were starting to speak, I'm like, right, there's that instant shift, and all I could see was the umbilical cord is cut. right?
Mm,
Like it's actually that's the moment, right? Because so much of our conversations in the past have been like, I'm feeling this kind of like it's like this very fertile essence within, right? I'm ripe with possibility. I know it. I feel it. And then like in the last like several months, I mean, we've spoken to like, oh, it feels like we're giving birth to something. And then all of a sudden, I think in the last like 2 fucking weeks, it's been like, oh, it's here. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, no, we're supposed to cut the umbilical cord. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's separate from me now. But like there is, and so I mean, for me, I mean, as you're speaking, I'm now realizing, I go, oh yeah, like there's been this transition of it's not within me anymore. It's outside of me. Well, that's a different thing. Okay, so it has its own, and we've talked about this in the Muse episodes. It has its own creative impulse. It has its
yeah.
own energy. It doesn't have the business, the book. It doesn't matter that it's technically an inanimate thing. That's not true. It's a living thing. The business is always breathing and expanding and contracting as you are, but it does it in its own kind of way as well. It's in tandem with you, right? The child will mirror and pick up traits from the parents, but it will ultimately do its own thing. And it's the same thing with the book. It's living. I'm now editing it by hand, which is so funny. I mean, I've written all of the words myself without the help of any AI. And now I'm like editing it without any AI, and I'm like editing it by hand, like in the candlelight, like that's how I'm doing it now. And it's like so old school, but it's like it's its own thing. I don't want to give the power to anyone else. I claim it for myself. Like I'm hearing you claim your business for yourself, but like also keeping it separate. And it's like that's the mother right now. So I guess I have to change my answer a little bit based on what you asked me earlier. How am I experiencing mother? I'm like, I'm experiencing cosmic mother. I'm like, oh no, like I'm actually doing the thing too. I forgot about that part. So, oh, here we are. I told you I was tired. Teenage Hannah was answering at first, but now Jess's gentle mothering of me and encouraging me to think through it more heartily got me to a place where I realized what I was actually saying.
It's
Huzzah.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this idea of like cutting the cord, right? It really is this living, breathing thing that now gets to be influenced by us, right? We get to choose how to raise the creation and nurture it into more strength, more health, more vibrancy, more potential. And we get to contain it really nicely in the way that we want it to, but it gets to grow up and be its own thing, which I think is really exciting because there is what's kind of dropping in here is like, this is the part I think where the difference between like the shadow mother or the wounded mother, this is the part where this is going to be so important, right? It's like the shadow mother or wounded mother could be like overwhelmed or could be, pushing it too hard, putting too many rules in place, like, overdoing the responsibility and over like helicopter moms, like overdoing the responsibility or whatever it is, right? And seeing it as too fragile, still seeing it as the baby rather than being able to see it as, okay, this is a beautiful thing that wants to grow and be its own consciousness, be its own experience. Whereas, like, I think getting to play in this kind of more empowered mother archetype gets to be important now because it's like, well, I can care for myself and I can create the space and I can influence this in the right way, but there's containment around that. There is time away from that, right? There's downtime from that. it's going to learn to feed and breathe and walk and run and, put its own shoes on, hopefully. All of those things is going to start to be able to do for itself. And that frees up a lot of space for what is the next gestation? What is the other creation? Are there other things that I want to, other pies I want to have my fingers in, right? It's like the other things that I want to be exploring. It's a wait, I'm having a real deja vu moment here. We've talked about this way back, I think. I think in one of the first episodes we started talking
Probably.
about this. Wow, I had
Probably.
such a deja vu moment there. Where we were talking about some mother archetype, I'm sure of it. Anyway, in in creating the space to go and have multiple things on the fire, right? Being able to free that up and create and also return to being an adult. I have a or like a sovereign human again, you know?
Mm.
It's because I have experienced that before, right? Going into jobs, going into work. Again, I'm going to use the context of business because this is what makes sense for my life. But going into work, going to jobs, it's like you leave at the end of the day, you put that down and you go out and you see your friends, or you've got things that you need to take care of at the weekend, whatever else it is. It's kind of life as it was prior to the creation, to the birthing of the creation, can kind of resume. Because if you're going through the embodiment process, if you're going through, birthing like an entire book, an entire memoir, you're birthing, like you were saying, right? You put it down because it was like, oh, I need to go and live this. Like the depth of the living it is absolutely massive. Like it's absolutely huge. It does become all consuming. Like if I look at my business, it's like the last 5 years, that embodiment process has been all consuming completely. It has taken up every waking moment of everything to prepare myself for what I'm going to be holding. And so it's just this moment of like, wow, okay, not to say I didn't have a life outside of that. Like, let's be really, really clear. But it's like the primary organizing principle is that, right? Is the growth required to be the vessel for the thing and to be able to be ready to birth it, and all the lessons and trials and initiations and challenges that come with that, the whole cycle, the whole big process. And so being able to kind of return a little bit then to being like, okay, there's also a bit of a sigh of relief where it's like, okay, this is outside of me now. So I have containment for that. And there's spaciousness. There's spaciousness to choose a new organizing principle or just have a break. Like
Well, right.
outside of that time, be like, great, I'm going to tend and grow and focus on, raising this. And outside of this, I'm going to go and kind of rediscover like what are the other areas of life that really want my interest and my joy and my expansion and my experiencing. And that it frees up a lot of inner workspace, I think, is what
Well,
I'm
I mean,
feeling.
that makes so much sense, though. I mean, again, have not been pregnant yet in this lifetime, but I can imagine that, it's all consuming when you have a child inside of you because you are literally like inseparable from the child. It's in you. What you eat, it eats. What you consume, it consumes. What you feel, it feels. It's literally an entity in your body, you know? And then relieving yourself of that entity, of that child, becomes less of a burden because it has its own system that it can do that now, right? It still relies on you to support it, to make sure that it gets what it needs, but then it has its own body to do its own thing now, right? And that's just, and it's, again, it's not to make being a physical mother in this lifetime better or worse than being a woman who does not have children in this lifetime. There's so many ways of giving birth to creation, and that's what I think we're also experiencing as women of this generation, right? There's a lot of ways where, like, there's a war on the feminine in terms of, like, what does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to not be a woman? And there's, like, one of them is like, you have to have children. Maybe, but my book is my child right now. That's the child. I cannot even fathom anything else. Like, taking care of myself and the book baby is like all I can do right now. And that's a full-time job. And it's not full-time in that, yes, I can separate myself from it now. And I fully resonate with that same language you were using. Like, I was being prepared, the vessel, my physicality, the embodiment of all that is about to come, because I feel it. Like, I feel it so deeply. I'm like, and I know, and I've talked about this with other friends, and I'm like, I literally wasn't prepared to put this book out there. I would not have been able to do it. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't courageous enough. I was not, because it's so vulnerable. And it's like, I would not have been able to do that before because I was way too tender and delicate. It was infantile. I was infantile in my energy beingness of it. But the vessel is fully prepared, and it's like, I'm still preparing as I continue to go through drafts. I get, but the reality is, like, I'm actually ready for it now because it's outside of me. It's not in me anymore. There's not that anxiety that, like, I have to keep it alive or, like, make sure I'm doing the right things to make sure it's, like, the healthiest possible. It's just like, it's doing its own thing now, and it will continue to do its own thing as I put it more and more out there and relinquish control. But, like, as you were speaking to this version of mother that we're both accessing in our own ways, one piece that's, like, super vital to be able to transition from more of a, like, wounded mother, helicopter mother, kind of like overly worried mother, kind of archetype, into the more expansive and trusting mother is the trust piece,
Mm.
right? Like, you trust yourself that you've got it now. You trust because you know how to take care of yourself. You trust that even though you don't know the exact outcome or how you're getting there, that, like, at the same time, you do. It gets to kind of be both. It's always this kind of, like, living, breathing agreement with creation when we're in that space. And that's how I'm feeling too. I trust myself completely now, that I've got myself, that I'm going to get to the book, that the timing is divine and perfect, that I'm in devotion to my dharmic truth, to being of service to myself, which is to just be myself. And by being of service to myself, I am therefore of service to the world, right? And I know this, and I know that spirit, that the world, that life has me and is holding me. Everything is happening for me and through me, and because of that, all these synchronistic things keep falling into place, and life keeps feeling more magical. And, like, it's, for me, it's just, but it's the trust piece. And I really fully believe, and this is part of another book that I started writing 2 years ago and will come out eventually. But, like, in the labyrinth that we walk into when we start to, like, come into really claiming our full and complete selves, our soul essence in Hieros Gamos union with self, in sacred union with self, we cannot access source energy, pure creation energy, until we enter into this kind of, if you think of source energy, love energy, like full creative potential, possibility, manifest as a throne room of sorts in this labyrinth, you cannot get to it without accessing an antechamber. Like, and the antechamber is trust, is re-innocencing. And if you cannot do that, you will never access source. Source asks you to humble yourself and to re-innocence yourself to such a space where you can feel, I trust everything. Not most things, everything. Everything is happening for me and through me. And I am creating it in every given moment. And all of it is perfect. And I am always held. But if you do not trust, it won't be possible. And I say that from personal experience. So I'm curious if that resonates for you because that's what came through as you were speaking. But I'm wondering if that actually lands.
Yeah, completely resonates. Totally makes sense. It's the trust piece. It's the self-esteem. Like I would phrase that as it is trust. I'd phrase that as self-esteem deeply, knowing that whatever source brings in to my life, I have an appropriate way of responding to it. I don't have to over prepare for every possible terrible thing or amazing thing that could happen. It's just I believe in and have enough experience in responding well, being able, having the capacity, the ability to respond, the responsibility, right? It's like the ability to respond to whatever life brings in, because that's it, right? That's the child's out of the body, the baby's out of the body, the creation's out of the body, the cord is cut. I can see very much where there is this energy of all the energy is freed up from everything being so internal and nurtured from within the body. So the nutrients, that everything else is coming from within the body. So that's tiring. Now it's external. And it's like, this is going to be the most amount of work in the physical that's ever required. This is going to be the most intensive point, right? It needs tending every day. It's brand new. It's just entered into the world. And it's like, and so it's like tending to this new creation. And there's so much unknown. There's so much unknown. And it's a fragile, vulnerable creation. And it's like, whatever happens, this is why the preparation time is so important. The embodiment time is so important. It is exactly that. It's because part of being the vessel is not just the vessel to birth the thing, right? It's the thing that's ready. It's the vessel that is ready to hold, carry, nurture that through its lifetime. So adequate preparation for that is so key, because then it's like, well, we're here now. I need to be able to respond. I need to be attuned, right? Like moms with their babies, they need to be attuned to like, what does that cry mean? How do we start to create a routine around this? How do we just, be present, watch what's happening in every micro moment throughout that? And if the mother didn't trust herself, a lot of women are thrown into motherhood. That sounds
Well, some might be. I don't know. That might be
maybe
true
some
for some of
are,
them.
but
Thrust, it is thrust upon
there's a lot of I have heard many, many people say, you're never going to be fully ready. You're never going to be fully ready.
them.
True. And I also have beautiful girlfriends who have become mothers in a physical sense, have given birth to children, and they've chosen to do that process entirely from consciousness. I mean, singing the baby's soul in, preparing for conscious pregnancy on every single level prior to it ever even happening, and then going through the pregnancy in an incredibly conscious way and preparing and all of those things and working with the mother wounds or whatever it is that comes up along the way, doing all of that, and then going through birth in a very conscious way, and then raising the children in very, very conscious, present, aware, by choice ways, not over planning, whatever else it is. But that level of preparation, I see them show up in very, very different ways than perhaps a lot of us had experiences with our own mothers in previous generations, and our mothers had their mothers show up, very, very different approaches to that. And that's not to make one more correct or right than the other. The times are the times, right? But it's that level of presence and awareness in the preparation process builds that self-esteem, I think, builds those levels of trust where it's like, okay, then when the baby is born, when the creation is put out into the world, when the cord is cut, when my creation becomes something physical that I need to raise, there might be unexpected things that come along the way, but there might be new challenges, there might be unforeseen things we didn't see coming. And it is just a whole bunch of unknown. It's going to be a whole bunch of like, try things out, like figure it out as you go. If that doesn't work, then you got to try this. And it's like every creation, every child, every creation baby that we birth is going to have its own needs. It's going to have its own personality. It's going to want to be, presented differently into the world. And we can't really foresee all of that, right? We have to just kind of like go along for the ride and be like, I am the steward. I'm the steward. That's it. And what I take ownership for is my role. It's not, like clamping down on the creation itself. I just need to be so solid, so embodied in who I am as the steward, as the mother of this creation, to respond to its needs accordingly to the unexpected situations without freaking out and like falling apart. Or maybe we do. Maybe we go hide in a cupboard and scream in a pillow for a while when things go horribly wrong. Absolutely. And, then being able to pick back up again and be like, okay, like there's enough love here. I spent enough time gestating and creating this, that there's so much love here that all of the ups and downs, all of the unexpected, all of the unknown, walking into that huge adventure is so rich. You know how they say, if you're going to go into entrepreneurship, like choose your challenges, choose the terrible shit that you want to put up with day in and day out, because the why is so much bigger. It's that, right? It's the level. So I suppose that's another additional piece. It's like, yes, I trust myself, but the devotion and the bigger why, I think, is also so important. And that's the cosmic mother piece, I think, that you were speaking to there. It's like, it's so big that it's like, of course, got to show up day in and day out. It's not just tedious, boring stuff. It's like, no, the love is so deep. We want to see this go out into the world and be something amazing. But we've got to be, to a certain degree, like prepared that like it's not sunshine and rainbows. Like giving birth is painful. Raising a child is, you're going to have no sleep for months, if not years. Like
I was going to say, I think most
real.
of my mother friends are like, it's years. So yeah, I was
going
to say, I mean, it's, I mean, the phrase labor of love, right? There's a reason that phrase exists, right? Women go through labor because they love so much, like hopefully they love their partners who like are nurturing and supportive of them and having created this baby, and also to go through labor is like apparently level 10 trauma, which is one of the reasons why I'm like, maybe not for me. But that's a different story entirely on the birth. Somebody might look at what I'm doing with like the book and they're like, how the hell are you doing that? That sounds awful. I'd rather give birth to all the children. So it's all like, whatever it is, everyone's got their own way. And that's just the thing, is it's just like, what is your why? Do you have that devotion? Do you have that drive? Can you see the forest through the trees of what is being created? And do you have the confidence, the self-esteem to trust yourself that you've got it? Because there's that piece where, like what you spoke to, you're never really ready, right? I've heard that phrase as well. You're never really ready for children. Well, are you ever really ready in general? Like just removing it from the children piece. Like, are you ever really ready? Question mark. Are you ever really ready to like do the thing T, the capital T, the capital two T thing? You know, are you ready? At a certain
I don't
point,
I don't know though. Like, do you feel ready now? Because I gotta say, I'm like, oh, this is what really fucking ready feels like.
um, yes, I do. So I can kind of call my bullshit on the, and there is another layer where it's like I'm speaking to the part where like we don't really know what's coming, right? The baby could get sick, right? Like the business could hit, you know, a snag, like and it doesn't go the way that you've hoped or thought or whatever. The
Mhm.
book might not, you know, get to the publisher that I want, whatever it is, you know, like it doesn't sell as many copies. Like there's something that can happen along the way that is unexpected. And like we might not be ready for that moment. And so we have to do the damn thing anyway, right? Because at a certain point, we do just have to choose to be ready. Like, you know, I do feel ready and also I'm feeling kind of scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. And so that's the readiness that I'm speaking to when I say, like,
Mhm.
we're never really ready and we are ready. And it has to be both. And that's also cosmic mother. And that's cosmic mother father. It's both, right? Because the reality is life is happening and you don't know what's going to happen next. Like, and that's the exciting part. And actually, that's the place that I really feel like I'm at. And I suspect you are at as well. I feel like you've said it, but I don't want to make any assumptions. And I have a few other friends. We've been in it so intensely, in the shit, in the muck, in the dark. We've gone so down deep into the rabbit hole. We've popped out the other side. We're like, oh. And on the other side is creation. Because at a certain point, when you go so far down the dismantling, disarmoring, disintegrating, removing, like the descent, you do come out on the other side and realize, oh, there is life. And where was I going with this? I had a point and then I lost it. I kind of just got like in my mind, I got lost in the Ananya myth, like Venus retrograde, and then I'm here. So what were we talking about before this? Because oh, the readiness, right? Here we go. Thank you. Thank you all for bearing with me. Now, through all of that destruction energy, all of it, we've come out the other side to creation. And now creation, being purely immersed in like, what do I get to create now? Because I don't know what's coming next. That is a very exciting place to be. And that's where it feels like I'm at, where every day I wake up and I swear to God and Goddess that I am as much of a Disney princess as I have ever actually been. I wake up and I open my doors and I go, "Good morning, Mama Bali. Good morning, house. Good morning, dragons and fairies. I love you." And I like speak to the beings and like, you know, are they imaginal? Yes, but are they also real? Yeah. Like I've got dragonflies and lizards, like dragons and fairies. I've got a physical house I talk to that also has like a spirit that I know is part of it. I speak to Bali, you know, like and I'm just like, what miraculous, curious, magical thing is going to happen today? Maybe it's a very mundane thing. Maybe it's a very literal thing. Like I get to edit the book and I get through 20 pages today. Wow, what a miracle. And maybe I decide, you know, the intuitive impulse is for me to go into town and I run into somebody I haven't seen in forever. And like that's the synchronistic miracle. Maybe I have a client come in that was completely out of nowhere and unexpected. Like I don't know what the miracle is, but like that's creation. That's true creation energy. And that is where we, I think, are in that I am ready because I fully trust life. I fully trust myself. I have just stated this thing within me, which has fully, I feel as prepared as I'm ever going to fucking get. Now I have to learn how to be continuously ready for whatever the next thing is that comes towards me as I'm in this process of nurturing. And wow, what a what a wild, creative, magical time to be alive. And I really feel like, I always wanted to be the Disney princess, and I'm like, I just am. And that too, in that kind of a capacity of that deep of trust and creation is, yes, maiden, Disney princess, blah, blah, blah. That is that energy, but it is also mother because mother is so abundant. She doesn't just magnetize in, she is abundance. Like that's the real mother archetype. The real mother archetype isn't, I have value. It's I am value. It's not I have abundance and abundance magnetizes into me. It's I am abundance. I am the thing. Mother Nature always knows how to take care of itself. Wildfire, great. Purge, then new earth. Death and destruction, great. New life from that. Whatever it is, like, like Chernobyl. I mean, what's happening in Chernobyl, right? Like after the huge nuclear, like, um, what is the word I'm looking for? Destruction that was like happening. And now it's been left alone for decades and new life is coming in. And Mother Nature knows how to take care of itself. It doesn't matter. It always knows because it is abundance and life itself. Not really else much else to say after that. Just is.
It's beautiful. Yeah, that's it.
And the end. I don't know what else to say. Mother is
Mm.
all.
I love that. I love the distinction and differentiation there between where it's like, you know, I am value, I am abundance, all of this. It's like, yeah, the culmination of the deep embodiment and self fulfilling, right? I fulfill myself, and then I can go and share that with the world. It's really, really potent and really, really beautiful. And the other little thing that was just dropping in there, which I think I would offer for anyone listening, is like this is the hilarious paradox, right? Is that we now feel more ready than we've ever been, but we didn't get here by waiting to be ready or trying to be ready. We tried to do the thing. We showed up for the thing, right? You showed up for the writing, you showed up for creating the book. I've showed up for my work repeatedly, and the not being ready and doing it anyway is what eventually leads to the moment where it's like, oh, okay, I feel more ready than I've ever felt before. And it's like in all the readiness, it can be like, what am I doing? The readying process. You're like, what am I doing here? Is this going somewhere? Why am I doing this? What is going on?
Well, and
And then there's the moment where it all lands.
that's so that's so exactly where we're at though right now. We can like relate this to astrology. Like we've come from this. So for instance, we just had Neptune move from Pisces into Aries, and Neptune is the planet of dreams and illusions. It's very mystical, and it's ruled by Pisces. Pisces is the realm of the mystics, is the realm of like that dissolves into realms. It's the paradox. It's the last sign of the zodiac wheel as we really have learned it from tropical astrology, although we do know that there's 13, but that's separate. Anyways. But yeah, we've got Pisces. It's the last. It holds a little bit of the essence of each of all the other archetypes and signs in it because it's the wisdom keeper. Well, when you were moving Neptune, this dreamy planet, from the dreamy, spiritual, mystical realms of like from the past, I think it's been 14 years that it's been there in Pisces, where spirit's been activated, where we've been asked to connect more deeply to this other realm. And it's moved into Aries for the first time in, I think it's 168 years. Aries is the sign of action. is the action, is the sign of getting things done, is the initiatory fire. So now we're being told like, hey, all of this potential and spiritual essence that you've been feeling and gestating with and percolating with and swimming in for the last 14 years, what are you going to do with it now? How are you going to put it into action? And I cannot tell you the
Mm.
number of brothers and sisters, yourself included, myself included, who have completely disintegrated and dissolved into proverbial ash in relationship with the cosmic self and the mother and the spirit realms, and are finally at this point of like, I'm ready. I'm ready to do it now. I'm ready to put it into action. I'm ready to see it into form. I'm ready to see it through form. I'm ready to cut the cord. I'm doing it. I'm doing it now. Like we're literally at the exact correct time in humanity to be doing such a thing. And so if anybody is out there just continuing to wait and to be ready and wondering when it's time, it's time. It's literally time. And that's not to say you're doing anything wrong by waiting, but it's just wait. We've said this before, waiting begets more waiting. And the baby is ready. The baby is ready to come out. Whatever you've been doing, beloveds, like it's time. And trust your own instinct on it. But if you've been doing it for a while, it's time. If you're brand new to it, that's a different process. But you've been in it for a while, babies. It's time. Cut that cord. It's time to go.
Oh, I love it. It's
Mm,
beautiful.
yeah. Yeah. And I do feel that that does set us up for our next episode of Crone because it's like once you have the wisdom, you've given the birth, you felt the fertility and like the youth, the joy, the playfulness, the re-innocencing. Now what do you do with it? And that is Crone, because Crone is alchemized queen. Crone is all of it. And now how do you hold yourself and carry yourself through that with that knowledge and wisdom? And that embodiment, how do you take that forward? And I think that's going to be an interesting thing for us to talk about because I don't know, crone, nobody wants to talk about the crone. It's so ugly and so cast aside, but I'm telling you right now, I feel like the witch at the edge of the woods in my own life, and I am so here for it. I'm so here for it, and that's crone. That's full crone medicine. I love
Mm.
it.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one to talk about because people often associate it with like age as well. But
Yeah.
triple goddess, if we're all embodying all of the things in certain ways, there's the sage energy. Like there's,
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting one to explore, I think, to see how are we experiencing it, how are we playing in that. It'll be a
Oh
fun
yeah.
one.
Totally.
Beautiful. So
Mm.
we'll have that to look forwards to. And
Yeah.
I guess we can say thank you. This was
Thank you.
beautiful. This was super fun. Thank you to
No.
you. Thank you to everybody listening.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. And if you are curious to know more about the creations that we're birthing and how you can work with Jess and this amazing badass business, I don't know. Do you want to talk about anything that you're birthing right now that you'd like to speak to and just give anybody a little to like be curious about yet or no?
I won't because this is going out in weeks from now.
Great.
What I will do instead is I will leave a website link in the Duty What's It description. The
Perfect.
Duty What's It. Yeah, we can leave our
We'll leave
things
our
in the
links.
descriptions and the links.
Perfect.
Because
Yeah.
then they'll be relevant. Because like I said, like there's a lot of known and planning. There's also still a lot of unknown. And
Yep.
yeah, things could change. We could expect the unexpected.
God knows that's true. So yeah, no, totally. Well, if you're curious about what we are giving form to and giving birth to, you can check out the show notes below. and support us in whatever ways feel true for yourselves and for us, and share and like, comment on the episode, and please, like, this is what we're here for. Otherwise, we're just talking to each other, which is also fine. I actually love our episodes. It's
Love it.
amazing. But if you
We
feel to
also would
share
love
it, we would
other
love
people
that
to love
too.
it too. So it helps us if you subscribe. It helps us if you comment. It helps us if you leave a review. It helps us if you like it. It helps us if you share the links with other people for the episodes that you
1,000%.
like. So that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, loves. And thank you,
we'll keep
Jess.
doing it and looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.
Peace.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.